So let's take a look at how we can use HubSpot's chat flows to create chat widgets in Thinkific. So the first thing you need to do is you need to connect HubSpot and Thinkific together through your tracking code. And bear in mind, this is separate to the official HubSpot integration that applies to Thinkific Plus, Silver and above customers. So let's get started and show you how to enable HubSpot's chat flows in Thinkific. So the first thing you'll need to do is head over to your HubSpot account. And under the settings cog icon here over on the top right hand side, if you go down to account management and tracking code, if you click on that, you'll find the reports and analytics tracking code here. This is the embed code that you need to drop into Thinkific to get HubSpot communicating with Thinkific and vice versa. So all you need to do is copy that piece of code by clicking the copy button. You can also send it to your web developer if you have a web developer who's developing your theme, for example, and they can drop that in for you, but it is pretty straightforward. You can also add this to your website as well. If you have a WordPress website, there's details for WordPress, but for now let's just stick to adding this to Thinkific. So now that I've copied into my clipboard this embed code, if I go over to my Thinkific school, and if we go down to settings and then choose the code and analytics tab, the place that you need to put the HubSpot tracking code is in the site footer code section. Now, if this is blank, then that's fine. You can go ahead and paste your code directly into here if this site footer code area is blank. If you already have some code in here, then to avoid breaking that code, if you put your cursor right at the beginning on line 1 and before any of the code, and just make sure it is right at the beginning so that you don't break any code. If you just press enter a couple of times, I'll put a couple of blank lines before the existing scripts that are in there, and then go back to line 1 and pop your cursor in that line, and then just paste in the HubSpot code that you copied from your HubSpot account. Now click save, and that's now connected HubSpot and Thinkific so that they can communicate for using chat flows. So let's head back to our HubSpot account, and if we go to the left hand menu and go all the way down to automations and we click chat flows, here we're going to create our first chat widget. So let's click create chat flow, and the first thing it asks you is where would you like to add the chat flow. So we're going to add this to our Thinkific site, so we'll pick website. We're going to set the chat flow details. You can choose help desk or an inbox. An inbox is effectively all responses that come in from the chat widgets will go into a single inbox, a bit like your email inbox. If you have a help desk set up on HubSpot, then you can use that. For simplicity, I'm just going to set this up as inbox. We'll keep it as language English, and then click next to go through to our workspace, and it'll now ask you what type of chat flow that you'd like to create. So this is a type of chat widget that will appear on your Thinkific site. A live agent is basically, if you're online, then it will show a box where you can interact in real time with the student or the person on your Thinkific site. And if you're offline, then you can set up the opportunity for them to send you a message and you can respond when you're back online. There's a couple of other options here. There's an AI customer agent you can set up, which can ingest all your help website content. It could be your website content, depending on what type of chat flow you're setting up. That's something to explore as well. And there's also a rules-based chatbot. You can explore both of those. Just for simplicity, to show you how to get these set up, whichever one you pick, they will all be installed in the same way. So I'm just going to start with a live agent. So let's click create. And now we can set up the chat widget itself. So on the welcome message, I'm going to embed this particular chat widget inside a single course. So I'm going to change the welcome message. So next is the knowledge base search. This refers to the knowledge base within HubSpot. So if you have like a help center set up in HubSpot, you can switch this on, and that will add a opportunity for the student to actually search answers in the knowledge base. It will take them away from the course and open up the knowledge base in a separate window. So if you do have that set up, it will show up here. I have one set up called FAQs, but I'm going to switch this off now. I'm going to keep it absolutely simple for this first installation. The next option is automatically assign conversations, and this basically allows you to assign the conversations for this chat widget to specific users and teams. I'm just going to keep this on the shared inbox, so I'm going to switch that off. But again, you can play with these once you've got these set up. Email captures. This will offer the opportunity for the student to put in their email address. They will already be logged in to Thinkific itself. So I'm going to actually set this as do not ask for an email address. You can set this to whichever works for you, but I'm just going to keep it very simple. So let's click on save, and that's set up the look and feel of the first settings for the build of the chat widget. Now, if we go to the next tab, which is target, this defines where the actual chat widget will show up. This particular chat widget, we want to show up in a single course. So I'm going to set it up so that when the website URL contains the URL of a particular course in my Thinkific school, then I'm going to put the URL in here. Then that will activate the chatbot on that particular URL, and only that URL. It won't show up anywhere else. So we need to get the URL of the course we want to show up on. So let's go over to our Thinkific school. I'm going to set it to come up and show on mindfulness basics. So we'll go into mindfulness basics in the admin, and I'm going to preview all course lessons so I can see how the page looks for the student in this particular course. So once we're in our Thinkific course, previewing it exactly as the student would see it, we need to head up over to the URL bar of our browser. And we want to take a careful look at the URL. And the way to identify the unique URL for the particular course is the first part of the URL. Now, the first part of URL is your Thinkific school domain. And then because we're actually taking a course, the next part of the domain is /courses. Then we have /take, and then we have /mindfulness basics, which is the name of the course. And then we have the type of lesson and an ID for that particular lesson. So if we want the chatbot, for example, just to be showing up in the first lesson, then we could actually click on the first lesson, and that unique URL for that first lesson, we could put that in the chat flow. That means that the chat flow wouldn't show up in any of the other lessons. So we need a way of identifying universally this course, whatever lesson that the user is taking. So all we need to do really is take the first part of the URL here and copy it. And then go back to our chat flow, and then we can paste that in here, and just make sure that the website URL contains the first part of that URL up to and including the name of the course, but not including everything after that. And then if a student lands on the course player page, irrespective of which lesson they're in, then it will show up. So then we can click save, and under visitor information and behavior optional, then you can leave that unset without any filters. The more filters you add, it's kind of the more conditions you're putting on whether this chat widget shows or not. For now, we're going to keep it very simple. I mean, you can add filters if there are specific conditions you want to add, but for now I'm going to keep this really simple, and we'll just get it up and running completely simply and straightforward just for now. So we've done the build, we've done the target. Now, if we go to display, we can choose the what the actual widget will look like when it pops up in the course. So we can choose the avatar. You can add a custom image or logo to give the a personalized touch if you want to. The avatar is linked to the user that you have in HubSpot that's attached to this particular widget. So I'm going to leave it just as the default one at the moment. Again, you can go in and change any of those settings afterwards. Let's just get it set up and on the site. The chat display behavior is how it looks when the user first comes into the course. So there's a few options here. There's the pop open the welcome message as a prompt, which is this one. So it shows the welcome message and a prompt. This is kind of nice and compact. You can only show the chat launcher, which is just an indication that there's a chat option here if you want to be a little less intrusive. You can also show the box open for the chat widget. Bear in mind, if they're coming to a course and you're putting this into a course player, then they're there for that reason to start learning. So maybe you don't want it kind of too prominent. I found that the pop open the welcome message as a prompt is probably a happy medium, or the only show the chat launcher. These last three options you can leave unticked because these are mainly for sales pages. You don't really want that popping up if people are exiting. If they're exiting the course, they probably finished learning, so we don't really want that popping up. So you can leave all those unticked. And the options are there for you to change the language. And if you need cookies for any compliance reasons, then you can add consent cookies here as well. I would probably leave the surveys off. Could be distracting it because this is going to go into a course, so we'll leave that off. So that's pretty much it. We've got the target defined of where this is going to show up, and we've built out the how it's going to look. So let's switch it on, and we should now have, if we go back to our chat flows, the new chat flow here. I'm just going to rename it as Thinkific Mindfulness Basics, just so I know when items come in through this channel in the inbox, it will indicate where they've come from, because you can have multiple chatbots here, and you can have, for example, another chatbot separately for another course. You could have another one for your sales pages, for example, and in that case you would then obviously change the URL where those other chatbots show up, so that they only show up let's say on your sales page or on your other course page as well. Now if you also add that embed code that we showed you earlier that we put into Thinkific, you can put that same embed code in your website, for example, and you can have you can add another chat flow. You can create as many as you like, and you can create that extra chat flow for your website as well. And all of the different chat widgets will basically be funneled into your inbox, and you can respond to everything from one place. So let's see how it looks. I'm in a test account as a student, and now I'm going to go into the courses, and what I should see is if I go into my main Mindfulness Basics course now, here's the chatbot popping up, the chat widget that we just set up, and if we open that up we can interact with that, and that will send a message through to our inbox. And if we go back to our inbox in HubSpot, you'll see the interaction that we've just made. So it's a live chat. It tells you the conversation was created from the chat flow Thinkific Mindfulness Basics, and it even tells you actually which URL they were on. So here it was in lesson 1. If I was in lesson 2, it would obviously then show up the different URL. So this is great. It tells you exactly where the user was at the time, and you can then obviously respond to them. Okay, and if we go back, there we go. There's our response. So now we're interacting from HubSpot directly into Mindfulness Basics. And because we put the URL in for that specific course, you'll see that obviously if we go into the Career in Management course, which is a different course, then no chatbot shows up here. So I think usually the best option is probably to have separate chatbots for each particular course. You don't have to. You can, of course, if you go back into chat flows, you could go into edit and go to target. And if we then took off everything from the URL up to courses, then we're only looking at the first part of your Thinkific school domain, and then the word courses, which indicates that the student is on a course page. So that means that if the website URL contains a course page, then we will show this particular chat widget. So I'm just going to save that just to show you how that will then display. If we now go back to our dashboard in Thinkific for the student, I'm just going to refresh the page so it picks up the new code. And if we go into now career in management, you will then see the chatbot show up here, the chat widget show up here in that course as well. So now it's in both, but it is the same chat widget for that particular user. There's a cookie that's stored on the browser for the user to know who they are. So you can basically set one chat widget for all your courses if you want to, or you can set up individual chat flows for each individual course if you want to do that too. Really, it's kind of so flexible that it's entirely up to you how you set that up. Probably spend some time thinking about all of these flows. If you do want to get started quickly, then just build one of the live chats, perhaps set it up on one of your courses and see how it works. And obviously, for more support on the chatbots itself, then you can reach out to Hubspot support, who will guide you through building those. But they are really great ways of increasing engagement and helping you support your Thinkific users as they work through their courses.